Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sasha, for those of you who don't know me, and today I'm gonna do a short and quick video. I know that I say every time that I'm gonna do a short and quick video, but today I'm actually going to do a short and quick video. I promise, because this video is going to be like a short recap of my main advice that I've given throughout all of my videos on how to journal consistently. And notice that I'm saying consistently. I'm not saying every single day. And I'm gonna explain you why. If you were to ask me even a year ago, before I got my YouTube channel, before I started my YouTube channel, a year and a half, a year ago, how many times should I journal? I would definitely say you should journal every single day. But I have grown up a little bit and I have changed my mind. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because recently I was sitting down and I was recalling, obviously I filmed a video about that and how I started daily journaling. And I recalled that I did not just wake up one day and started daily journaling out of nowhere. Like I did, but there was like a process before that. There was a process of scheduling when I had a schedule that I would journal from 2 to I think it was 6 times a day or a week. I'm sorry, a week. 6 times a week or 5 times a week, something like that. And then I only then when I kind of like dipped my toes into that, into consistent journaling. I started daily journaling, and honestly, I'm thinking about a lot of things right now. And one of the things is like, am I gonna daily journal forever? Like specifically daily journaling. And my answer is probably more no than yes. But at the same time, I want to remain consistently journaling. So if I ever have to stop daily journaling, whether that's because of the amount of notebooks that I'm gonna have uh, filled out, lack of time, personal changes, or just like changes of like mindset, I'm still gonna journal consistently. And consistency for me, like I defined it right now, I journal every single day. But in general, consistency for me is like from like 2 times a week to 5, 7 times a week. Wait a minute, I'm gonna adjust my camera because it's dropping. Okay, I'm back. So let's get to the actual video. My number one advice for consistently starting to journal is to define what consistency is for you. Maybe you want to journal once a week. That's okay. Maybe you want to journal 2 times a week, 5 times a week. Define what consistency is for you. And don't drive and journal to journal right away every single day. And you're gonna say, Sasha, what the fuck? Like, you are journaling every single day, and you telling me not to journal every single day. You are a fucking. And yes, I understand. I understand. It might sound dumb because, well, I do journal every single day. But I want to say that you will not be able to journal every single day right away if you've never done it in your life ever before. And even I started with like 2 times a week, I think it was. I have actually a week where I journal like only one. When I read back on my like old journal entries, I have a week where I have only one entry from that time period of my life. So don't try to journal every single day. That's my number one advice, but also define what consistency is for you, because when you are only going to journal like sporadically, or I know a lot of people only journal when something bad happens and they want to kind of vent it out, but if you do that, that's like a huge risk that journaling becomes associated with like a bunch of negative emotions, or even like the opposite. Some people like who are like into like wellness culture and yoga and like all of that stuff, they're like, you should only journal about like happy stuff. You should only keep a gratitude journal. You should do that. You should do that. And again, it might be harmful too because you might not feel safe enough in your journal. You're like, I gotta be, the happy me in this version, which is like, I don't think it's worth it because on this app we have a bunch of shit where we, like, a bunch of places where we have to pretend that we're happy, and your journal should not be one of them. That's my opinion. So define what consistency is for you, and then we are getting to the actual action. When you have already defined what consistency is for you, and pardon me for looking, here I actually have my script. Well, not my script, but a little bit, some notes of things that I definitely don't want to forget. So, you define what consistency is for you, well done. Now we are addressing your schedule. And what I mean by that is when I first started consistently journaling, I looked at my schedule and I was like, alright, so on Tuesday I have a window of time, an hour of time before, for example, my school and the musical school, and I can use that window to journal. Or when I come home, I have a 30 minutes break before like a lesson with my tutor. I can use like 15 minutes of that to journal. So define where you have like a window of time. And even like I talked about that in my recent video, how to journal when you're tired or busy. That we all have a window of time in between where we actually go to bed and like turn off the light, and you can use that kind of window of time for your benefit to journal. So you have defined your schedule, and don't be afraid to change your schedule because you are not going to have like a set, especially right now that it's like summer and the school is only starting for some people. For some people, school has not started yet. Some people are not in school, they're at work and they don't know how they're gonna like be at all. So don't be afraid to kind of change your schedule up. That's life. uh the second advice that I can give you is to set yourself an alarm. What I mean by that, for example, if you have defined that you want to journal once a week, and because if you like fucking decide that I'm gonna journal once a week, any day of the week, for example. Any day of the week, any time of the week. I'm just gonna journal. You're gonna wake up on Monday, you're gonna have a little bit more time, and you're gonna be like, nah, I wanna journal on Tuesday. On Tuesday you're busy and you're like, I'm tired, I don't want to journal, I'm gonna journal on Wednesday. On journal you have university, you have to do homework, and you're like, I don't want to journal, I'm gonna do it on Thursday. On Thursday you will wake up and be like, I don't want to do it. Tomorrow is Friday, I'm gonna watch a movie and journal about a movie. You are never gonna journal that way. So let's say you have defined a little kind of breaks or like a little like chunk of time where you can journal in your daily life, or like a day when you know that you're definitely gonna journal. And don't just like tell yourself, oh, I'm gonna journal, on Sunday. Actually set yourself an alarm. I don't know, like Sunday, Saturday. I think Saturday is kind of like better, but anyway, I love Saturday more than Sunday, personally, because like Sunday sucks. Sunday sucks even more than Monday, I'm gonna be honest. Because like on Sunday you're like, fuck, I have to get ready for school or work and then okay. So Saturday or Friday or 2 p.m. journaling. Why? Because when you set an alarm for something, your brain treats it as uh, treats it as something really important, really crucial. and you'll have more motivation to turn off your phone and just have that and actually sit down and journal. Than if you just set yourself a reminder and like look at the reminder. At first, reminders, worked for me. Calendar reminders, I would like see my calendar reminder pop up that I'll have to journal, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna journal. But right now, I see my calendar reminder to journal popping up, and I'm like, I'm gonna do it later, and alright, and I'm good. And I actually end up doing that at like 11 in the evening. So you don't really want that. Set yourself a concrete alarm. My other piece of advice, another piece of advice would be carry a journal with you. And I know that it can be a highly controversial piece of advice because not all of the people are comfortable with carrying their journal around, and I understand why. Um, then I have another solution for you. Get a separate journal that you will be willing to carry with yourself. It might be even like a pocket notebook, because with a pocket notebook, nobody is gonna like really read into that or like look at you too much if you are worried about that. And if you want to jot down also on the weekend like separate pieces, important pieces from that pocket notebook into your actual journal. But I know that for some people it might be a mind fuck. For me, it's definitely going to be a mind fuck. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to have two separate journals. But for people who actually do like keeping the system of like, one day I feel like writing in this journal, so I'm writing in this journal. Another day I feel like I'm gonna write. Okay. Earlier, I feel like I want to write in another notebook. I'm gonna write in another notebook. So, try it out. I don't know. Maybe that works for you. My third advice would be listen to music while journaling. And yes, I'm gonna have like not a bunch of, I'm gonna have music that I journal to. Because it helps set the mood. And of course, my favorite advice is to set yourself a timer for 10 minutes. I say it in every single of my videos, but I say it not just because, but because it works. It definitely works because you don't have to like sit there and be like, fuck, I have so much on my plate, to journal about. I'm gonna set an alarm, a timer for 2 hours, and half of those 2 hours I'm just gonna sit there and I'm gonna think about how to write what I want to write. When you set a timer for 10 minutes, you'll have no time to like think, you just write. And I know that it's like a nightmare for perfectionists. I'm a perfectionist myself, but that works. This shit works. That's why I'm like recommending, because that works. Another piece of advice would be do more stream of consciousness. Again, it really applies to when you want to when you have a lot of to write about, and like, fuck, how do I even start? Like, how do I even start? I don't know how to start. Grab a pen, grab your journal, set a timer for 10 minutes, and just start, following your thoughts. Don't like overthink it. Don't try to make it like pretty handwriting, pretty words. Just write it exactly as it is in your head onto the paper. Because if you are going to put it off, waiting for the perfect moment, for the perfect words, you're not gonna journal, and you are going to get more and more frustrated and maybe abandon journaling altogether. Because you're gonna be like, I have a month of worth of content. Fuck it. Like, just fuck it. I'm not gonna write about that. You're just gonna get frustrated. So again, timer is your like best help, and also stream of consciousness. is your best help. And another advice would be record yourself on camera. Even if you are not going to upload it anywhere, still record yourself on camera. Because eventually you'll be sitting there like, so I have to journal. I have to journal because I have my phone, myself looking at fucking myself, and I don't know what to do. Guess I'll have to journal, because why I'm wasting like space on my phone if I'm not journaling? Why I'm just like staring into the camera? Obviously I'm uploading it to YouTube because I'm like holding myself accountable sometimes. That way I'm like, people are gonna watch it. It's my motivation to kind of journal sometimes. Like, obviously, if I set a camera, I might as well start journaling, because why did I set a camera then? So that's, all my advice. It was a pretty short video. I hope that you guys liked it. If you have kind of like more concrete situation, please write your situation down in the comments, and I'm pretty sure that we will able to find a solution to your situation. And I'll see you guys in the next video. I love you. Bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. I love you. I love you. I love you.